Hello, everybody. How are you? Yes, it's Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That means we get to connect and we get to have a real conversation with some real women. We're going to have this sneak peek into a real conversation with real women to hopefully entice you not only to come back every Thursday night that we have a guest, but also to venture over, and let me just show you, to venture over to realwomenrock.org so that you can check out our sister circles. Let me tell you, while you are coming on, please share this out with someone. This will be an important conversation that you do not want to miss. So share this out with someone as I begin to just do our intro and let you know what we are all about. Also, say hello to us. Let us know that you're here. You know how this goes. This is a conversation. This is not just a one-way presentation that you'll see between myself and our guest. We really want to hear from you, your comments, your questions. We would love to interact with you. My name is Trinace Richardson, and I am the founder of Real Women Rock because we do. We exist to create safe spaces for women to do personal development work on themselves. And we do that through sister circles. And so since September of 2013, we have formally cultivated and facilitated sister circles across the country and abroad, starting in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, and then traveling out to other states and other countries. We host these sister circles so that women can connect with each other in a hey there, come on in, y'all, say hello to me, so that we can connect in a meaningful way with other women, so that we can grow our personal confidence in who we are and what we were created to do. And so we can become a catalyst of positive change in the lives of others and in our own lives, right? And so we really want you to experience a sister circle. We are back now. We have been through COVID meeting virtually because a pandemic does not stop the connection. And so we've been committed to connecting. But on this past Saturday, for the month of July, we were able to reignite our in-person sister circles. And we started with our Prince George's Charles County, Maryland sister circles by meeting together in Clinton, Maryland at a park outside so that folks could feel safe. It was an amazing experience. Please go to our Facebook page so that you can check out the pictures. Folks were able to, hey, Netta, yay, I miss you, Netta, so that folks would feel comfortable. And so we are going to, in August, on August 7th, like literally a couple of weeks away, we're going to be in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Our Real Women Hampton Road Circle is going to be reignited, and we're going to take a walk toward wholeness. We really want you to join us at the park in Virginia Beach. All of the information is at realwomenrock.org. Again, realwomenrock.org. And then in September, we're going to be outside at another park. We're going to keep it comfortable and safe for you. We're going to be at the Jones Point Park in Northern Virginia and right under the bridge. So if you are in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, join us. Don't worry, if you are not in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, we want to come to you. You can become a connector of Real Women Sister Circles and help us start one in your area or bring a one-time experience to your area by going to realwomenrock.org and go to the Work With Us page so that you can find out what it takes to become a connector. All right. I did 5 good solid minutes of introduction to give you all an opportunity to share this out with someone and to connect. Say hello. Let us know that you're here. I am so excited to invite to the stage Karen Okonkwo.
Yeah, Okonkwo. Yes, you got it.
Okonkwo. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
You're my sister, so you know.
Yes, Okonkwo. And I am just so Okonkwo.
Oh, like,
Whoa, I got it. Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
I got it. I am so excited to invite you to the conversation because listen, y'all, Karen is a master of all trades. Like literally, what don't you do, sister? She is a blogger. She's a writer. She speaks and she has dug in and co-founded an incredible business called TONL that allows us to see all of these graphics that come out of businesses and even social media posts where, you know, all of these other places that we go, iStock and iPhoto and all these places, she created a business that provides the stock photographs that we need for our graphics. And I am just so amazed by you. Would you like to say hello to everybody?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on here. I'm super honored to just be in your space. And just to see what you have built is so profound. Not many people really want to devote this level of work into women. So I really want to commend you for that. And just thank you so much for having me on here. And like you said, yes, Karen of all trades is what I call it. A different Karen, not that Karen.
Right.
You know, I just really love to serve the underserved. And I felt like I could do that when it came to TONL because we really were lacking representation online with imagery.
Yeah, this is so good. So I'm excited because the topic tonight, Karen, is the power of seeing yourself. And I want to talk about a lot of different things under this umbrella, but I really love, as you are a social entrepreneur, you are a blogger. We've already mentioned you're the co-founder of a stock photography company. And so you have immersed yourself in not only doing what you love, but making sure that you have a pulse of what's happening in the world. And so I'm asking you all, and I will post it in the post while she shares, but I'm wondering if you all have had issues not being able to see yourself on TV, not being able to see yourself in the media, not being able to see yourself in business, you know, all of these places that you have ventured into, Karen. I'm sure it's out of passion and out of personal fulfillment, but I can see the service all in and through it, you know, the fact that you care. So what led you to doing this work as we get our folks talking to us?
Yeah, so, you know, I'm first generation Nigerian-American, born and raised here in the US. And I was always taught to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, all that. And so when I was in school, I decided to join a sorority. I knew nothing about sororities. I actually wanted to join a historically Black sorority, but I got led to the Panhellenic sorority, a non-Panhellenic. And it led me to some of my sorority sisters. And one thing I had noticed about them is that a lot of people had a perception about sorority women, you know, that they were really wealthy, that they were spoiled, that they were this, they were that, partiers. And what I knew being inside a sorority is that these women are innovative, these women are intelligent, these women are smart. So I wanted to create a blog that showcased basically sorority secrets, is what we called it. So started that blog during the boom of the blogging age. And we were getting a lot of attention with it. But what ended up happening is a friend of mine here in Seattle, he pulled me aside and he said, you know, out of curiosity, how come you don't have any Black people on your site?
Wow.
And I was perplexed. I was like, what is he talking about? I mean, of course I do. I'm Black. And I scrolled through our website only to realize that he was in fact correct.
Wow.
I had to sit back and ask myself, what was the issue? And the issue was that I had been subconsciously seeing the world as white, that it didn't even occur to me, just like it may not occur to many people who are non-Black, when they walk into the grocery store and they see all the greeting cards are white people. When they watch these movies and the lead roles are typically given to white people. I had not consciously been aware that I was projecting that.
Wow.
So when I wanted to change that, I went online to find imagery. I couldn't find it.
Wow.
Couldn't find it at all. And that haunted me for years. flash forward, I ended up meeting my now business partner, Joshua Kissy. He co-founded a creative agency, and I pitched the idea to him. And, we were both at capacity because at the time I was doing medical sales. I did that for about 9 years before I went full time. So we were just like, you know what? We'll put it to the wayside.
Yeah.
But then Philando Castile and Alton Sterling were murdered by the police. The media was portraying them like they were villains. Never mind, they were fathers, brothers, gentlemen in their communities. So we felt like it was time to take back our narratives and show us in the bright light that we knew. And so that is actually what pushed us to launch TONL.
Wow. Let me tell you how important this is. Like, I think back to all of the ways in which you just named, TV shows, Hallmark cards, all of those things where you really just don't see, and you make an assumption, even when you're young or you're trying to buy baby dolls for your babies, those kinds of things, you just don't necessarily see yourself represented. And as we have moved into seeing ourselves represented more often, Hallmark has mahogany cards now, and the entertainment industry does a bigger push now of having African-American representation, because we've proven that we are an economic generator, that kind of thing. But that acknowledgement of going into the stock photography, like, that was an aha, because I would just assume I've got to take my own pictures and use them, or I've got to use this generic stuff that's out here. The fact that you created a company around that issue and you became an answer for that issue, I think is absolutely amazing. So listen, you all, whether you are on live or on the replay, we want to know what your experiences are with not seeing yourself in society. Like, where have you thought, wow, where are we? I know for me as an educator for a long time, especially now still in different areas, I'm like, these poor babies don't get Black teachers, depending upon the area, and so I want to let people know that you're not just a social entrepreneur. You are not just a blogger, and all of these things they're not just in any way. They are amazing. You didn't just co-found a stock photography company, but you are a TED Talk speaker and TEDx Talk speaker. And I think it's so important that you have not just created a business, but like I said, you've made it your service. Could you talk about what just maybe some summary of what you talked about there, because you really just dug into the importance of individuals, and you ran the gamut. So I know we talked about our own color, but it's a hard conversation when you get into not just race, but cultural background, because all brown people are not, African American. So body types, sexual orientations, genders, ages. Can you talk about what you've seen and why it's so important that we talk about it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, earlier I mentioned about just seeing the world as white subconsciously, and you have to think about psychologically, what is that doing to you as a human being, as a person of color? And what it is inadvertently saying is you are less than. Or if nothing else, it's saying that is reserved for those people. And so that was something that I wanted to grace the stage and empower people to pay attention and take their time in the imagery that they choose to portray on a given topic. And what it does is, when you start to see people that don't look like you, and you learn about them and you see them on TV and magazines, you end up actually feeling more empathy. And I think that's what the society lacks. And what I wanted to convey in my TEDx is that we can become closer and closer to a more unified society if we actually saw different types of people and we didn't stay within our own little bubble. But the media has a huge hand in how much we can change that narrative and bring more unification. So that was really the crux of my TEDx.
Yeah. And what I love about that is you bring forth and bring up the issue, but it doesn't really change until we begin to own businesses and spaces that, because we can continue to be the consumer, we can continue to be the customer, and we take what we're given, we make complaints, and maybe perhaps something happens. But it's a totally different mindset when you become the owner and you become the stakeholder, the investor, whatever it looks like for each of us individually, and you have a voice at the table. You're not asking for something, you're demanding it.
Yes.
And so I love that. So did you see, I'm just wondering what your personal experience outside of the sorority. Let me just ask you real quick, because this is girlfriend conversation. What sorority?
It was called non-Penalink, so it was Kappa Alpha Theta.
Okay, good. Yeah, I did a couple of honor society sororities outside of Hellenic, but I'm a Delta, so ooh. But outside of that, like you mentioned, being Nigerian, I'm just wondering, what were your personal issues? Did you have any issues before even then? Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so I'm so happy that you're bringing this up, because this is some even inner work that I have had to digest myself and really put it at the forefront. And it also comes with how I show up in the dating world. So for example, growing up in a predominantly white and Hispanic neighborhood and schooling system, I would always see white men, non-Black men pursuing women that were outside of my race.
Wow.
And what that would do constantly is it would perpetuate this idea that, oh, those guys, they just want to be my friend. We'll just be friends. Now, the while I have friends say, hey, so-and-so likes you, but they can't tell, you're kind of giving them mixed signals. And I'm like, oh, no, they don't like me. We're just friends.
Right.
You have it wrong. And it's because I never saw a push for Black on Black love in media. I never saw it in my schooling system, at least to the degree that I felt would make it like, oh yeah, you are loved as how you are, how you show up. So there's been a lot of undoing of just that perception of who is allowed to love me and who does love me. That has been a direct reflection of the lack of representation that I was able to witness.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful, because it's not just business, it's not just being a consumer and what we take in entertainment, but it really just touches our personal lives and our relationships and how we show up in family and in love. I love that you mentioned that, because depending upon, it's all about context. Depending upon where you grew up, depending upon what you were exposed to, that shapes and frames your perspective. And we bring that to everything. So I really appreciate you lifting that up. I grew up in a really I'll say multicultural. It was probably about half and half as it relates to Caucasian and African American. But because there was still an Asian presence, there was still, a presence of others. I felt like I was exposed to a lot more in my childhood, so that when I got to college, whether it was a predominantly white or historically Black institution, I felt comfortable. But everybody doesn't have that experience. And and we have to acknowledge that. So how can we, because you have done your part, right? And I don't mean it to say you're not continually working hard, but I love that you have taken on, you saw an issue related to the stock photography and you addressed it, and you're building your company as a result. What would you suggest we do? Because we didn't create TONL, right?
Right.
So what can we do just across the board when it comes to seeing ourselves in the different facets of our lives where we don't?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that can be done. First and foremost is feeling empowered to speak up
Mm.
when you are seeing that there's a lack of diversity. And it's not just racial diversity at all either. I've found that as somebody who is a part of a historically marginalized group of people, that there are other subsets of that. And
Yeah.
I've had to do the work to also get educated and try to uplift other marginalized groups outside of the Black and African American ethnicity and race. So
Yeah.
that's really one thing. Another thing is if you are in spaces that are media driven, so entertainment world, working for an agency, a marketing agency, it's suggesting, hey, let's work with more stock photography companies or different even creative agencies we can partner with that prioritize diversity, that prioritize those stories. I think that that's going to be the foot in the door. And it's also about accountability. So it's not enough to just have a photo. It's just not. It's a good starting point, but we've got to make sure that the data, the words that you're saying, the pledge that you are giving, that you are going to empower different communities that are marginalized, that is backed up with numbers, that's backed up with data, that's backed up with programs, that's backed up with retention rates. So the burden should not be incumbent on those who are marginalized to lead the pack. So I also believe in that the boundaries. So in enlightening people, but not doing all the work for them either. So it could be as simple as you walking in the
Wow.
store and you notice that the whole row is missing that mahogany line from Hallmark. Take a picture. You could tag whatever that store is. Now it's their problem. Now it's for them to fix it. You don't need to solution seek for these people.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I know you gave some amazing suggestions. I'm just piggybacking off of the last one that you gave and the thought behind it of not being responsible for it, because what we want to do is to be the most impactful. And I think the most impactful for many of these companies is their bottom line. It's their money, it's their marketing, it's their reputation. And so to do something like that, we've already proven. You started with, some of the tragedies that have happened related to police brutality. And we know that that there's power in social media, there's power in videoing, there's power in taking pictures and sharing them, because people, it makes a difference. That's to their bottom line. So thank you for sharing that. This goes by so fast. 30 minutes is it like, yes, it flies by. We're literally at like minute 23. And I want to make sure that you share any nuggets, anything that's been on your heart to share, any last encouraging words as it relates to that, but also any information about resources. I happen to have your website. So I do have that, but if there's anything else that you'd like to share, we would love to hear your final words and resources.
Yeah, well, I would just say that when we reflect on this pandemic specifically, and not just the pandemic itself, but the racial injustices that really have come to the forefront of our stage, this is a moment for people of color to continue to ride that train and continue to take what's yours. Yeah. So price yourself correctly, demand what is for you. Make sure, so basically make sure that the price is not only at what the industry is standard, but above it, because there's an emotional capital that's being invested in being a spokesperson for a lot of these companies that are probably going to be using you to elevate their brand. Don't ever feel scared to explain and share what you're worth. Outside of that, I will say from a business standpoint with TONL, we are always looking to work with new companies and tell more stories. We have a TONL narrative section, which was really our sweet spot for being able to get images and bring them to life as far as storytelling to create that empathy. So if you or a company that you are connected to is looking to bring on more diverse stories and imagery, please reach out to us.
Oh my goodness. You preached the whole word and then and gave an amazing marketing pitch at the end, because I'm thinking of all of the places that I'm connected to and how they could utilize, you know, whether it's on their website or in some way, shape, or form, they could use the work that you do, including myself. So I am looking forward to staying connected to you, Karen. Thank you so much for this conversation. That girl said, price yourself, not just market value, but woo, that was so good. Y'all, I know that whether you are watching live and those of you who love us in the replay, this is going to bless you. It is, you know, we run the gamut here. We talk about stuff that we're dealing with personally. We talk about inner issues. We talk about relationships. We talk about health and fitness and finances. This is an area that we need to talk about. The power of seeing ourselves in media, in advertising, on TV, in our businesses, on social media. Like, we need to be able to see ourselves, because we know what difference it makes. It opens up a world of possibilities when you see a vice president who's African American, when you see a president who is African American, when you see just the presence of Black teachers, or, you know, the presence of a Black person, you know, a person who does not look like you, does not connect as well. So we just want to lift this conversation up, and Karen has given us amazing tips on how we can do this. This has been your sneak peek into a real conversation with real women. And we have had this amazing conversation with Karen, and I'm just so blessed to have had you here. Please go to her website at tonl.co. And we invite you also to our realwomenrock.org page. Don't forget, August 7th, in just 2 weeks. If you are in the Hampton Roads area, if 757 is your area code, we want to see you there at our Walking Through Toward Wholeness in Virginia Beach at the park. All you got to do is go to realwomenrock.org for more information on that Saturday, August 7th. Love you guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you again, Karen.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
You too.